Hey guys, this is Eric. I'm one of the co-founders at Freshline, and we keep getting the question, what do I pack for boot camp? So I just got back from boot camp 2 days ago. I actually packed too much stuff, and I'm generally known for packing pretty light. So what I did is I took out all the stuff I didn't need, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I actually used for boot camp. Keep in mind, I was there in February, March 2022. That's their summer, so a little bit hotter. Temperatures usually fairly even keel. There's a little bit of difference, but it's definitely a little hotter in the summer and a little cooler in the winter. So in the winter, you might want to pack maybe one extra layer. That's about it as far as difference goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through packing list, what I packed, and what I'll do as well is I'll include a list or a link to a list in the description below this video. So I'm going to start with clothing. I packed way too much clothing. Almost every guy says that goes to boot camp. So when it comes to clothing, all you need is 3 t-shirts. If they're wicking, that's great. It's probably recommended. Cotton wool are fine because you're typically not riding or working too hard in the t-shirts other than your workouts, which you may or may not wear a t-shirt. So t-shirts. I also pack three different dry bags. Reason for that is I want a dry bag because it keeps out the dust. In Africa, there's a ton of dust. Why 3 dry bags? I have 1 dry bag for my main clothing. I have a small dry bag for my socks and underwear. And then I have 1 spare dry bag, which is where your dirty clothes go once they come out of the clean dry bag. So 3 t-shirts in the dry bag. What else do I have for clothing, main clothing? So this is even a slightly bit excessive. All you really need is 1 pair of board shorts. Do you need athletic shorts for working out? No, you really just need the board shorts even for your PT in the morning, your workouts. Reason being is that there's a number of PT sessions where you're gonna get wet. So they're gonna make you wear board shorts anyway. You might as well work out every morning in board shorts. That's what we've got. If you want some shorts for around camp, that's a little bit of an extra because the board shorts will work. They'll dry out super fast. But if you want an extra pair of shorts, you can throw that into your clothing bag. As far as tops go, I'll also throw in a sweater, so some kind of sweater for staying warm in the evening. Is it essential? Not really. You could wear your riding jacket, but it's nice to just not have to wear your riding jacket because that's going to get dusty, dirty if you even wear a riding jacket. And a lot of guys don't, which I'll get to in a second. One thing I will divulge to you is when you get to boot camp, you're going to get 2 different pieces of apparel. You're going to get your riding jersey. I haven't even washed this yet since I got back. So riding jersey, your name's gonna be on it. This is what you're gonna wear 90% of the time when you're riding. So don't worry about bringing any other jerseys. There's no point. You're only gonna be riding this because you're gonna be requested to wear it, which I'm not gonna throw in my bag the way I would normally because it's dirty. And then you're gonna have 1 other Freshline shirt, which is also moisture wicking. And so a lot of guys will actually wear this on the riding days or just wear this around camp. You wear a lot of the same clothes around. You'll have plenty of opportunity to wash them, both in camp at laundry facilities, and then also if you're camping, you still have opportunity to wash them in the camping spots at the sink. Pants. I would recommend only bringing 1 pair of riding pants and not bringing much beyond that. Maybe a pair of riding pants, and then when you're going, you wear a pair of jeans, something comfortable around camp. My favorite pant for expeditions and boot camp, and it's really proven itself to do very well. A Fjallraven pant, if you haven't heard of Fjallraven, they're a Swedish company. My favorite Fjallraven pant is the Kebs. These are actually not the Kebs, they're a slightly different version. But what I love is they have a really abrasion resistant fabric. All the pockets are on the front. They're very breathable. They've got venti on the sides. They're good for hiking, moving around, whereas a lot of times your motocross pant is just a little bit more restricting. With the pant, this is a slightly different thing, but a knife. I'm a little bit unique in this and having a knife that's on my belt this way. It is important to have a knife at boot camp. I use this absolutely every day at boot camp. Sometimes it's for cutting things. A lot of times it's just for things like wedging in between brake pads as you're changing out wheels and tires and stuff like that. But definitely is a piece that I use every day all the time. So having a knife is something that you definitely want to have at boot camp. And ideally it's something that is not in the way, but is easily accessible for you. So, oh, the other thing I love about these pants is you have the ability to put a padded knee pad in there so that when you crash, which I do often, you're not wrecking your knees because you have that knee pad in there. So that would go into my clothing bag as well. So that basically covers clothing, except for the riding jacket, which I'll get to in a bit. As far as your undergarments, 3 pairs of underwear. I know you're at boot camp for 2 weeks. You still only need 3 pairs of underwear. A lot of times you're gonna be wearing your board shorts and no underwear. You'll still have plenty of opportunity to wash your underwear. Honestly, I brought 7 pairs. I wore 3 because every few days you get to do laundry anyway. So much more than that is excessive. 3 pairs of athletic socks. And actually one thing I don't have here is you need athletic shoes for your PT, for your workouts. So bring a pair of runners, light pair of runners. You're gonna want that. 3 pairs of light wool socks for riding. Again, I brought 7 pair, way too excessive. 3 pair of riding socks, like wool riding socks is all I needed. And that basically covers your undergarments. The only other thing that might cover undergarment is your, what do you call this thing?
Buff.
Your buff. If you don't bring a buff, they do sell buffs in Namibia at various places. But this is something that you will absolutely use because your neck gets fried out there in the sun. So buff, super important. As far as getting into a little bit of the gear, riding gloves, absolutely necessary. Again, because the sun will fry your hands otherwise. Even if you're lathering sunscreen on, it'll end up coming off and you're gonna get burned. So riding gloves is something that you absolutely want. Moving from that to, I guess, the last piece of apparel that we've got here, riding jacket. Up to you whether you want to bring a riding jacket or you want to bring some form of Under Armour. Most guys at boot camp wear some form of Under Armour underneath their jersey. And I'm not talking about the brand, I'm talking about actual padded stuff that goes underneath your jersey for riding, and opt not to wear a riding jacket. Some guys will wear a riding jacket. If you bring a riding jacket, I did bring this jacket. This is a jacket called, it's made by a company called Merlin, a British company. It's called a Shinstone Air. This jacket, the whole thing is all mesh, so it breathes very well in Africa. I'm really happy with this jacket, performed really well in Africa. It also comes with a zip-in, zip-out liner for if it does get cooler or you need something that's waterproof, but really great jacket, super happy with it. If you don't have something, it's something I'd recommend. But if you do have something that you like, bring that. So that is something that I would say you want to wear with you on the plane. So you need some kind of riding protection on the plane. I would recommend obviously washing it. That one just came back from Africa, so it's dirty, but wearing that with you on the plane. Wearing the riding pants that I put in the bag, I'd actually recommend, if you can. The reason I love those Folly Ravens is because they're super comfy in the plane. So wearing that on the plane. What else are you wearing on the plane? This is a pair of adventure riding boots. This is a much lower profile boot than your typical motocross boot. A lot of guys wear the moto boots. That's also a really good idea. I don't love the moto boots only because walking on and off the plane, walking around, you do a lot of walking at boot camp, not just riding. And when you're doing that, I like a lower profile boot, but some guys like to protect their full shin, and that's up to you, whether you want to wear a full motocross boot or not. These boots actually are not the boots I took to Africa. I took a slightly higher boot. That was an ATV boot. I really enjoyed them, but I actually left them over there for guys that might not have had their gear make it or forgot them or whatever. But that is typically my riding boot. Flip-flops, essential. You're gonna need flip-flops around camp. It's hot. When you get to your destination, you're gonna wanna take off your boots and pop on some flip-flops. So you're gonna want those. Sleeping bag. You're definitely gonna want a sleeping bag. It's Africa, so a very light sleeping bag. Yes, this is my sleeping bag and I don't look super small. This is Usbo Sport, 30,040 Cocoon 100. I don't actually think they make these anymore, but basically a light summer sleeping bag is what you want to look for. I'm going to actually interject for a second here. When you're going to boot camp or an expedition with Freshline, if you're going for the first time, you're going to get this. This is a 50-liter duffel. With it, you get these flaps. A lot of guys can't figure this out. It's just a Velcro flap that goes in on the sides of the duffel, and it folds over top as a beaver tail, which is great because if you attach this to your bike, which you typically don't at boot camp, but you will for expeditions, you can just put things in the beaver tail and quickly cinch it and slap it together. So sleeping bag goes in there. Towel will go in there. So camp towel, you do need that for showering, etc. Headlamp, super important. I usually don't put that in my duffel. I'll bring a backpack. I think it's pretty important to have a backpack for riding. There's a few reasons. One, you just want stuff that's easily accessible. Two, when it comes to the weight of your bike, you actually don't want to pack all the back into your bike with weight if you can avoid it. You want that center of gravity as close to your body as possible. So riding with a bag with your gear in there. Headlamp for me always goes in my backpack because Freshline, there's tons of times when on an expedition, things are gonna go awry, you're gonna be stuck out, it's gonna start to get dark, you're gonna need a headlamp. Absolutely always have a headlamp on you. Ideally, I like to have two. Along with that, small repair kit. This will also go in my backpack or potentially in the Moscow bags on the bike. And really, really simple repair kit, electrical tape, Leatherman, another headlamp in here, some JB weld, and that's pretty much it. As far as tools go, you will have a tool kit that you're given for each expedition team, or boot camp team, I should say. At boot camp will have their own mechanical kit. So this doesn't include all the mechanical tools that you need for a bike, but these are things that we did use because you will find breakdowns on the bikes. The bikes will break down and things are going to happen that are not necessarily anticipated, and it's good to have those tools on you. Another thing that goes in the backpack, sunnies. Super important for Africa to have sunnies. Another thing that goes in the backpack, all your electronics, charging cords, etc. Those are going to go in the bag. Along with, I would say bring at least one of these external battery packs, the power packs. Ideally bring two. I did bring two. One of them actually broke while I was there. It's a bit older, so it happened, which is why I have two. Got a backup here. There will be days that you go without power. So if you want to power your phone, to take pictures, whatever reason, bring that external battery pack. That'll go in your backpack. Toiletry kit, very basic toiletry kit. A couple of things that you might not think of would be Tylenol, Advil. Bring that, especially for boot camp. It's not unusual that you're gonna get a little bit beat up or you're gonna get sore, so bring some of that. I don't have melatonin in my bag, but melatonin's a really good idea when you first get there to just help beat the jet lag. Your deodorant. Old Spice makes this new deodorant now. It's a much more solid stick than the gel stuff. The gel stuff in Africa can actually melt everywhere if it gets hot, which it often will. So something that's a little bit more solid so that it's less likely to melt is great. And then just your typical razors. You want to bring bottle of shampoo, soap in a case, which I don't have because I use it all. But you want to bring that for the bathrooms, the shower, stuff like that, because it's not going to be provided for you anywhere. So you're going to have that with you, all the washable stuff. Another thing that will typically go in your backpack when you're riding is your hydration pack. Any hydration pack will work. I bought this one off Amazon for 30 bucks. What I like about this is the fact that it comes with an insulated cover. My water actually stayed warm for hours, which I was pretty impressed with in Africa. 3-liter pack on Amazon. If I find a link, I can include it below. But pretty happy with this overall. Fairly cheap hydration pack. Just went in my backpack and worked for me on the ride. I think that covers pretty much everything. The only other thing that might be worth talking about is helmet and your communication system. A lot of questions about the communication system. The communication system that we use at Freshline is Cardo Pack Talk system. Pack Talk, there's a few different versions of it. The version that I would recommend, the most recent one that I'm really happy with, is the Cardo Pack Talk Edge. I've used the Slim and the Bold, and they both work, but the Edge is just so much quicker to pair, easy with the app, and then the big difference is the actual functionality on the buttons and the ease of use when you're riding. So if you can afford it, the Cardo Pack Talk Edge, you're not required to buy any communication, but 90% of the guys will have them. You want to be tapped in. If you're running another system, don't expect, even if that other system does technically work with the Cardo system, don't expect you're going to have comms, because every morning you split into different groups at boot camp for different teams, different leadership. You will quickly create a team on Cardo's system, and if you don't have a Cardo unit, basically guys just are not going to take the time to try and figure it out every morning. So if you want comms, which is great, the cargo system. And then helmet's completely up to you. Personal preference, I like an adventure helmet with a visor, but I will definitely bring goggles as well. You'd have to have a pretty damn good helmet to not bring a goggle. I would highly, highly recommend you bring a goggle because you're gonna have tons of dust. And for me, it's imperative to have the goggle, even if the visor and everything was down. Doesn't do as good a job of sealing out the dust around the eyes as a solid motocross goggle. So that's that. All of this stuff should fit into your 50-liter bag, no problem. So when I put everything in this bag that I've got here, keep in mind I'm wearing my shoes or my boots, my riding boots, I'm wearing those on the plane. Again, I can't stress this enough. My bags did not show up for boot camp until 3 days after I arrived. I was still able to ride immediately day one because I had my riding boots. I had my pants on, my riding pants with the padding. I had my jacket with the padding. I was good to go, ready to rock day one, even though I didn't have my bag show up. So make sure that stuff's with you on the plane. Sorry, helmet as well. Absolutely, no questions. Helmet needs to go with you on the plane. So if I put basically my plane stuff goes here. That's what I'm wearing on the plane. Backpack I'll take with me on the plane. Everything else goes in this bag. As you can see, this should roll up. There's a roll top here. This should roll up nice and tight. Clip in here. You shouldn't have any problem closing this bag. If you do, you've got way, way, way too much gear. This beaver tail works like this. And this, again, this is great because you can unfold this when it is on the bike or even on the support truck, and you can stick your jacket or whatever in here. And then you close it and you can cinch it up like that. So the other thing, if you guys haven't noticed already, this is great if you're traveling through wherever, airports and stuff, but it's got the backpack straps that you can use as well. So it should pack up really small. I haven't even compacted it, and it's just no problem to roll that up. Oh, I almost missed this minor thing. Pen, keep in your backpack as you're traveling through these third world countries. They will get you to fill out forms in the airport and on the plane. Make sure you have a pen with you in your backpack. If I missed anything, which I might have, the only thing that I can think of that wasn't visually here was the runners. But if there's anything else that I missed, I'll put that on the list and I'll let you know. But that is all that you should need for boot camp. The only thing that's not here that I didn't talk about is any additional armor. So boot camp, you're gonna push yourself, you're gonna push your limits. I would consider myself to be a decent rider, definitely not pro, but decent. At boot camp, I would recommend definitely have some kind of upper body armor, whether that's a jacket or it's an Under Armour thing. Also, not a bad idea at all to have more of a knee brace with the padding on that knee brace as well. And then any additional armor that you want on top of that, that's up to you. A lot of guys would wear the padded shorts. Absolute necessity, this jacket, I took it out to wash it, but this jacket would typically have spinal protection. Whatever you've got, make sure you've got some kind of spinal protection. That actually, I don't know if I want to say saved my life, but I definitely had a huge crash, landed on my spine, and that back protection definitely saved me on this round in boot camp. So make sure you've got that as part of your protective gear. Neck collar, things like that, it's a good idea. I'm definitely not going to say no, but obviously the more gear you pack in that regard, the tougher it's going to be. Some guys will pack an extra duffel with all of that stuff. I try to avoid it just for travel complication stuff. So that's that. If you guys have any questions, absolutely leave me a question below. I'll try and monitor that, make sure that I'm keeping on top of it. And like I said, I'll put a link below with the packing list, and anything specific that I highly recommend, I might throw that in the packing list, a direct link to those items as well. Cool.